In today's video, we'll be covering running the pricing engine inside of Zenly. The pricing engine is a vital resource for mortgage brokers and lenders, enabling them to identify the most suitable loan products and pricing alternatives for their clients. This tool integrates with Zenly's loan origination platform, delivering real-time pricing and eligibility data tailored to the borrower's financial situation and the lender's requirements. Zenly's pricing engine empowers users to compare multiple loan products and rates, maintain compliance with lender guidelines, and enhance the loan origination process by providing precise and current pricing information. The goal for updating pricing was to be able to handle more dynamic fields that we get from Loan Scorecard. We have added pricing for both the leads and the loan side of Zenly. However, to see the Run Pricing button, you must make sure the pricing credentials you receive from Loan Scorecard are saved in the Services Settings section. To get to the Services Settings section, we'll navigate to the top menu bar and select the option for Templates. And then from here, we will select the tab for Services Settings. On this screen, you have two options. First, if you've already entered your pricing credentials and you need to edit them, you will see them listed here on this screen. And if you double click them, this will allow you to edit your pricing login name and password. If you need to save your pricing credentials in Zenly for the first time, then you will click on the plus sign in the top right-hand corner. And this will allow you to select pricing under the Select Services dropdown and select Loan Scorecard from the Select Agency dropdown. Now, a small change was made to how pricing credentials are stored due to the updates from Loan Scorecard. When you enter your pricing credentials in the Services Settings area, you no longer need to provide the company ID and pricing group ID. All we need is the username and password that you receive from Loan Scorecard, and then Loan Scorecard will send us the pricing group ID that we need to generate any products. Once you've entered your pricing credentials, you can click Save and Close, and this will save your pricing credentials inside of the system. I'm going to jump over to the lead side of Zenly, and this is one of the places that you will find the Run Pricing button. If and only if you have saved your pricing credentials under the Services Settings area. So we are under the Track Status screen on the lead side of Zenly, and I'm now going to click on the Run Pricing button. All right, and on this screen, we can see step one of the pricing engine, which is the available products. Not a lot has changed on this screen. The only change that was made was the pricing group ID on the return from authentication step. And this is for using your username and password. If you have multiple pricing group IDs tied to one user, it will show this drop down for group ID, so you can select which pricing group you want to get products from. And there are all kinds of reasons that users could have different pricing groups. One of the things to note, if there's only one pricing group, the drop down will not show, and that one pricing group will be the only one that displays. So for example, I've configured the Zenly demo bank account for home office to actually only have 3 products. So if I switch the drop down to just home office, that pricing group ID for that group will only show me the 3 products for this group. However, if I go back and select group ID for branch, this group has about 166 products listed. So I will see tons and tons and tons of products listed for this one group ID. This is how the CPB's general users are set up. And that would be the big update made to section 1 of the pricing engine. So that is a big update to step 1 for available products in the pricing engine. Now there were some items that were reorganized on the left based on how the pricing engine flows. We have disabled the base LTV and the base CLTV. So now you can just go ahead and calculate it on the fly. So let's start entering in some data in a few fields here. And there we go. Now our LTV and CLTV now display in the fields. I'll enter some citizenship, credit score, and debt to income. I also want you to take note, so this will make sense in a few seconds, how we have our property type as single family right now. As you can see, the property type we get from Loan Scorecard has tons of different items to select from. On the lead and loan side, our property type availability is spread across different fields. So we have around 4 to 5 different property type fields, and all of them have the same product type selections to choose from in the drop downs. But for pricing, they just use one of the selected property types. So with that noted, just remember that I chose single family here for the property type. Next, I will go ahead and select my state and province. So there's one more field that I could put here under the advanced search section, but I want to leave that off for right now and show you what it looks like after I go and choose a product and move on to the next step, which is step 2. And that field I was talking about is the documentation type. So I left that off specifically so you can see how the red border will appear around any field that is required for eligibility. So that is the purpose of our step 2, is that these are all fields that are required for eligibility for the selected product that we just grabbed on step 1. If you come across a red field and are uncertain about which eligibility option to select, just hover your mouse over the field. It will indicate that you can only choose that specific option. Once you select the correct eligibility option, the red border will disappear. However, if you select an ineligible option, the red box will remain until you make the right selection. And this will apply to any and all fields on the screen. If we get these fields incoming from Loan Scorecard and they say lien position, for example, this is another one that has an allowed value that they require. So if I select anything other than first, it will throw that red border on it. So again, it does this for any and all fields here that are required. All right, so moving on to step 3 of the process, which is eligible products. Now I no longer have any red borders in my fields. I can now click next to check if the selected product is eligible. If all fields meet the eligibility criteria, the product will appear on the step 3 screen. Not much has changed on this screen since the last time. We continue to display the table in the same way, pre-selecting the 30-day lock column nearest to par. You can still choose any other cell, and we automatically calculate based on your selection, including any specific price or rate adjustments related to the lock. In the case of the 270 column, we will show the rate adjustments and any related messages, all of which are calculated automatically. We also pre-select the eligible items you choose, so the boxes will be checked for you, saving you a click. Now, let's click on the Save Scenario button. With Save Price Scenarios, one thing we added after you're ready to save a scenario is we made this screen a little more clear on what you are doing when you are saving here. So first, you can save it to the lead loans information, which is going to be synced with the first loan scenario on the loan comparison. That's another enhancement that I'll describe in more detail in a minute. The second way is add new scenarios to a loan comparison. If you just want to add a new scenario to the loan comparison table, you would select this option. This will place a scenario on the loan comparison table in position 2 or 3. For this example, to save the first product, I will overwrite my lead file by choosing leads loans information / first loan scenario. And again, it will also save to my loan comparison in the first lien position. You can see if I choose the option for saved leads loan information, this will automatically open up on the lead side of Zenly underneath our qualification tab. This improvement in syncing the loan comparison with the lead file means that the loan scenario data is essentially an extension of the lead file. It includes additional data points beyond what you typically find on the status tracking screen, which is kind of the best way to understand it. Anything after position 1 is not tied to the lead file. You can now also drag, drop, and rearrange these scenarios in any order you prefer. So I've saved the product to the loan comparison, and I also placed it in what we refer to as the service PPE container. This is important because there are many data points from pricing that you won't typically find in a lead file. By saving it in this container, we can transfer this information to the loan side. If the account you are using for pricing also has a path account, all these data points will be stored in the service PPE container, allowing us to transfer them to the loan side and then to path. So you would simply enter the first and last name of the lead and then click Save. Earlier, we discussed the property type, and you'll see the lead file does not have a section for property type on this screen. There are data points we're going to save in the PPE container for future use, even within the lead file. This will be another example of this. If I click Run Pricing again, this will be as if I'm running pricing for a second time, because the property type field cannot be synchronized with the lead file or the loan file since the list differs from those in the existing files. Therefore, we will store that value in the PPE container for future use in pricing. This is how we can reuse the property type. Moving on to the advanced search. So the same thing for the documentation type. It can be reused since I previously saved it while running pricing. The aim is to streamline the process for future pricing runs, allowing you to quickly select the product and click Next until you return to your rate sheet. Whether you're using a phone or a desktop, if your data is already saved, it now only takes about 10 seconds to get back to the rate sheet after running pricing. Creating a file for pricing to use as a template takes roughly a minute and 40 seconds. This allows you to establish lead files as templates, making the pricing process more efficient. We've also added new fields on the lead side. We've introduced new fields on the status tracking screen for leads to assist with pricing data collection. A field for interest-only months has been added, along with the section for subordinate financing. These additions will aid in calculating the CLTV and enhance the pricing accuracy. Moving on to the summary info section, pricing was the main motivation for adding the subordinate financing on the lead side. Now the thought process is that we should also be updating our summary info to accommodate the calculations that we will be getting from the subordinate financing, which will assist the calculation of the CLTV and the HCLTV. So with it being more than just LTV, we've redesigned the summary info bar for both the desktop and mobile version. We've added all these calculations now on the status tracking screen as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact our dedicated customer service at calixdcs@calixsoftware.com.